In the morning, when the sun rose, I went to see Delilah again to continue drinking, joking and enjoying her love. In the evening, when I returned home, I saw my cousin resting her head against the wall. I understood that she was suffering from jealousy. Sadness was burning her heart. But because she loved God, Adixa pretended to be calm and did not say a word about what was tearing her heart apart. Because she also understood how that crazy love made my mind dull. When I glanced at her, I saw a second white bandage appear on her head. One bandage was used to bandage the wound caused by the god, and the new bandage was placed under 2 swollen eyelids from constantly flowing tears. Seeing the god, she stopped crying, wiped her tears and went to the god. Warmly welcomed me and talked gently. This time, she did not dare to serve me a meal, for fear of evoking my anger, but only went to take off my coat. But then I could and hash 39 hold back any longer, so I choked up and cried out through 2 streams of tears, day after day, night after night, but your suffering doesn't and hash 39 go away. It and number 39 rare to get what you want, but I still dream of having love. The next day, I went to see the cruel Delilah again to negotiate the wedding and arrange everything related to this matter. When I was about to leave, Delilah stopped me, pulled out a new towel, and showed it before my eyes. On this scarf, as well as on the scarf that Adixa is holding, there is embroidered a pair of. My sister embroiders it, Delilah said. So what is your sister and number 39's name and what? God acts. And quat, it and number 39's name is Nu'a al-Huda, and quat. She replied, and quat. I give you this scarf, please keep it as a souvenir. And quat. God received the scarf, said goodbye to Delilah and left, his heart filled with joy. Returning home, I saw my cousin crying, tears flowing like rain, pounding her chest and exclaiming, "The spring wind blows from the distant steppe, reviving the forgotten passion. O wind, your power is limitless. Blow away my sadness. O Allah, I do not need all the pleasures. I only ask for love in return. I love my brother more than my life. Please have mercy on me, O saint." Seeing the god, Adixa quickly stood up, wiped her tears and greeted the god with affectionate words. She said, "My brother, you enjoy the joy of love with another, even though Allah has the kindness to reserve you for me. I have lived day by day in tears, in sadness and pain, in separation from you. Let everyone condemn or abandon me, I just hope the gods Don and number 39 punish you for me." Meanwhile, the god was busy looking at the antelopes embroidered on the scarf. Then the god gave the towel to Adixa. She stood up, then sat down again. Without saying a word, her tears flowed again. Calming down, Adixa said, "And quat. Please give me this scarf." And quat. God gave her the scarf. She opened the scarf and saw that it also had a pair of antelopes embroidered on it like the previous scarf. At that moment, Adixa stood up and smiled. In her smile there was more pain than joy, and she took care of me again, taking off my coat, hanging it on the hook, and saying, "May God Allah save you from your enemies, take away their evil." Then she read poetry again. But the god became angry and scolded Adixa. She cried again for a while, then stopped, wiped her tears, kissed my hand and wanted to hug me, but I pushed her away. She sobbed and said through her tears, "And quat. My dear, Allah will forgive you." And quat. I felt sorry for her. But didn't and #39 T know what to do. The next night, when I returned from Delilah and number 39's place, I saw her lying stiff as a log, and my mother was sitting at the head of the bed and crying. Seeing the god, the mother shouted, and quote, "Addix, you are so cruel. What face do you have to be my brother, when you have pushed your cousin into this situation? And Don and number 39 T even bother to ask about his illness, end quote. It, end quote." Realizing that the god was back, Adixa forced herself to sit up and smiled at the god, but the god didn't and #39 T pay any attention. But I abandoned them, not knowing about my sister and number 39's illness, went to Delilah and did not return home for a few days. But in the end, I felt my stomach churning, so I decided to go back to visit my relatives. As soon as I entered the alley, I heard crying and praying. "What a number 39's going on here?" I asked the passers-by. "Adixa is dead," they replied. "She was found dead next to the door." God entered the house. God and number 39's mother ran out and told me, and quote, "You killed him. Allah will punish you for this sin. You miserable, ungrateful cousin." At that time, the godfather also arrived, and the relatives collected Adixa and #39's belongings, did all the ceremonial procedures to take her to the cemetery to bury her, and then prayed for 3 consecutive days for the deceased at her grave. Everyone returned home again. "I am very sad for my cousin." And the mother said, "Now, tell me what the crab and number 39's head and ears look like. I want to know why you killed your cousin, because even though I asked him about his illness, he just remained silent and didn't and #39 T say anything to me. Please answer immediately, I beg you." I didn't and #39 T do anything to her and quote, then replied, "For that, Allah will punish you." The mother exclaimed. Unfortunately, he didn't and #39 T tell his mother anything and kept everything a secret until his death. Even before his death, when his mother was sitting next to his bed, he said to his mother, and quote, "Uncle, may Allah forgive your son for my death and not punish him for what he did. What he did to me. The Holy One has reincarnated me from this stormy world to the eternal world." Mother said to reassure him, and quote, "God has blessed you in your youth," and quote, and asks again about the cause of his illness, but he just smiled and whispered, and quote, "My dear uncle, please repeat to your son my last words. Loyalty is beautiful, but a change of heart is vile. Let him remember that these words will turn him away from evil, and that you will also protect him after death, as you protected him while you were alive." Then, it gave the mother an object for the mother to give back to the child, but only when the child was sad and cried because of it. Now I and number 39 am keeping that thing waiting for you to be in the same condition as it said, then I and number 39 LL give it back to you. And quote, "Mom, let me see something," and quote, I begged, but she still did not agree, so I left. A few days later, I forgot about Adixa and all the suffering. I came to the person I was passionate about and again let myself fall into the pleasures of love. Just because of her I felt like a fool. One time, the cruel Delilah, who was the cause of the failed wedding between me and my cousin, asked about Adixa. The god told her that Adixa was dead and had buried her 5 days ago. Hearing Adixa and #39's death, Delilah choked up in prayer and said through tears, and quote, "Why Don and number 39? I tell you, you took her to the grave? And quote, if only you had told me when she was about to die, I could have thanked her for everything she sacrificed for us. Now he is in danger, because the evil he has committed has taken possession of him. And quote, you Don and number 39. Have to worry, before she died she forgave me and quote. I replied and recounted everything my mother had said. May Allah bless you, go home and see what Adixa has given to your mother. Delilah exclaimed. But I reminded her that the mother definitely refused to give that thing to me, and recounted how before she died, her cousin asked her to tell me, and quote, when your son comes to the place where he often visits, I hope he remembers. Loyalty is beautiful, but a change of heart is vile. Hearing that, my lover said, Allah has blessed her, with such words she has saved you from my punishment. Because I was preparing to do something extremely cruel to you, but now I no longer think of anything harmful to you. And quote, trembling at her words, the god asks, and quote, so what are you planning to do with me? And quote, could it be that our mutual love did not bind us together? It is true, you are attached to me, she said, but you are still young and foolish. Your heart does not yet contain deceit, so you do not know anything about malice and evil. Woman and number 39, trap. If his cousin his wife had lived longer, he would certainly have understood what she was about to do to him. He must be grateful to Adixa because he is still alive, she saved him from imminent death. I advise you to never talk to any woman, young or old. I repeat once again, he has never been calloused in love and is still unfamiliar with the deception and cruelty of women. The person who protected you is dead, and I warn you that evil will come to you, and after your cousin dies, no one can save you. Please explain what my cousin said to me. Fidelity is beautiful, but change of heart is vile. I asked, but she did not answer me. The next morning, when the god arrived, she stood up, holding a wallet full of gold coins and said, and quote, now show me your brother and number 39's grave. And quote, I will put my poem on the stele. I will build a tomb there, in memory of the deceased, and will distribute all this gold money to beggars and poor people, so that they may bless her soul. End quote. Yes, end quote. I answered and went with her to the cemetery. Along the way Delilah distributed gold coins and said, end quote, this is alms for the soul of the deceased Adixa, who kept her mystery until her death, without having had time to enjoy all the flavors of life. End quote. At last, we arrived at Adixa and 39's grave. As soon as she saw it, Delilah choked back tears and fell to the ground. Then, she pulled out a carving knife and a small hammer from the back of her shirt and skillfully carved the following poem on the tombstone. I visited the forgotten grave, kneeling down and placing a bouquet of fresh flowers on it. Who rests here? I asked. In response, the earth only sighed, and quote, the love of my dreams rests here. End quote. Alas, even in the grave, passionately loving hearts are unhappy. Then she stood up, her eyes filled with tears and returned home. From that day on, every time she came to see Delilah, she welcomed me more lovingly than usual and asked me to repeat her cousin and number 39's last words before she died. Loyalty is beautiful, but a change of heart is vile. And I ate, drank, joked and enjoyed the sweetness of love with her. I am very happy with life like that, because I Don and number 39 T have to worry about anything, and I have long forgotten my cousin and number 39's death. Just like that, a year passed. On the first day of the second year, I went to the bathroom, washed myself and put on a beautiful dye. At the bathroom, I drank a glass of wine and smelled the scent of my new clothes, rejoicing in life, not thinking about the cruelty of time and the changes of cruel fate. The wine soaked in, I staggered, but didn't and #39 T know where to go. A moment later, I was on the famous small street called the Grim Tunnel, and suddenly saw an old woman walking in the opposite direction. In one hand she held a candle to light the way and in the other held a piece of paper. Seeing the god, the old woman asks, and quote, "My child, do you know how to read?" and quote, "Yes, ma, and number 39 am." God replied, without thinking, and quote, "Please take this letter and read it to me." And quote. The old woman said and stuffed the piece of paper into my hand. God opened the letter and read, and quote, "Those who are far away send their greetings to you." And quote. Hearing that, the old woman happily said, and quote, "May Allah free your worries from you, just like He freed your worries." And quote. After that, she took the letter and left, and I continued walking. But she appeared again as if rising from the ground, took the god and number 39's hand, kissed it and said, and quote, "Oh my child, may Allah protect your youth. I beg you, please walk with me a few more steps and you will reach the gate." You passed on the words I read, but people did not believe you. Please try to go with me, so you can go inside the gate and read the letter again and receive my sincere wishes. And quote, "What is this letter about?" I asked the old woman please tell me about its origin and quote. And quote, "This is a letter my son sent me 10 years ago and I haven and number 39 T seen him again. It does business in a western country. But since then there has been no news. At home I thought it was dead, and all hope was gone. Then, after many years of silence, this letter arrived. He has a younger sister who is praying for him day and night. When I asked my son to tell me what was written in the letter, I told him that his brother was still alive and well, but he didn't and #39 T believe me and asked to bring the person who read the letter so he could trust me on the authenticity of that news. My child, you probably know that people who are in love are always half faithful. Please go with me and read the letter to him. You will stand right outside the gate and read, and I will take my daughter out so she can stand inside the gate and listen to you read. Please be merciful and help ease the pain in my mother and number 39's heart. Because a messenger of Saint Allah said, and quote, "If anyone heals those who carry the sadness of the world with one pain, Saint Allah will heal hundreds of emotional wounds for him." And quote. Another legend also says, and quote, "If anyone relieves his brother of one of the hardships of the world, then Allah will erase 82 mistakes for him on the final judgment day." End quote. I met you and trusted you, so Don and number 39 T deceive my hopes. End quote. I and number 39 LL do it. Please show me the way. End quote. I said to the old woman. She went first, and I followed. A moment later, the two came to a very beautiful house with a wide red bronze gate, and stopped in front of it. The old woman called someone in a strange language. Immediately, a young woman hurriedly and happily came out of the house. At her feet, the sound of gold bracelets studded with jewels was heard. Her wrists were covered with pearl bracelets, around her neck was a necklace of precious stones, and her head was covered with a scarf made of rare fabric. "Who came to Mom?" she asks. "Is it the one who read the letter?" "Yes, that and number 39. Him." The old woman answered. The gate opened slightly, and the girl gave the god the letter. I leaned towards the gate to hold the letter, and something unexpected happened. The old woman used her head and hand to strongly nudge me in the back and pushed me inside. The god entered a wide hallway, and the old woman, as quick as lightning, jumped in and locked the gate. Seeing the god, the young girl greeted him and led him away, while the old woman walked ahead with a candle to light the way. Through 7 long corridors, we reached a large room, surrounded by corridors. It and number 39 is so large that you can play horseback riding. The young girl left me there, and I had the opportunity to admire the house that I mysteriously got lost in such a strange way. The room was built of colorful marble, and the floor was covered with silk carpets. Pillows and cushions are also made of silk and brocade. There were 2 brass chairs, a bed of 10 gold, surrounded by jewels and precious stones and many other precious objects. In short, this is a happy palace, only for the kings of heaven. "What do you choose?" asked the young woman. "Life or death?" "Life," God exclaimed. "And quat. If so, then you must marry me and quat," she said. "I Don and number 39. Want to marry someone like you." God resisted. "Then you will have to die," said the girl. "By spending your life with me, you will be saved from the cruel Delilah, and Allah will punish her. Say to Allah, there is no woman more cruel in this world than Delilah. If only he knew how many lives she had killed, how many disasters she had caused. Believe that you have been saved from her, because she has not killed you and has not done evil to you." Hearing what the young woman said, the god was very surprised and asks, "And quat, Miss, how do you know all that?" "And quat, I know her more clearly than when I witnessed her evil deeds," the young girl replied. "And quat, but now I just want you to tell me everything that happened between you and Delilah, so that I can understand what saved you." And quat, "At first, I told her everything that happened between me and my uncle and number 39's sister Adixa. The young woman mourned her cousin, and cried when she heard about Adixa and #39's death. She also raised her hands high and said, "And quat, may Allah bless Adixa and #39's youth and give him good things for her sake. And quat, Adix, please pray to Jehovah, because her death has saved your life from the cruel Delilah. If it weren't and #39 for Adixa, he would have died a long time ago. Worried about you, I cursed her malice and cruelty, but now I can and number 39 continue, even though I still have countless things worth talking about. I forgot to tell you," he added, "that before he died, Adisa left me in his will to convey to Delilah the following words: Loyalty is great, but change of heart is vile." Hearing that, the girl exclaimed, "Adix, those words saved you from Delilah, from the death that awaited you because she was no longer hunting you. His cousin protected him while she was alive, and after death she still saved him. He is young and inexperienced in life, so he does not understand the cruelty of young women and the malicious habits of old women. I pray to Allah that you are right." God exclaimed, "Be calm and control yourself. The girl continued, "You are beautiful, so I want you to belong to me by law. Allah will support it. If you cover him with wealth and splendor, he will be happy and not have to worry about anything. There is no shortage of delicious and strange things here." Then she clapped her hands and said, "Mom, bring the people from your place here." At that time, the old woman and 4 witnesses arrived carrying a piece of silk. She lit the candles and the witnesses entered, saluted the god and sat down. The young girl stood up, covered herself with a cloth and handed it over to one of the witnesses to make our marriage agreement. After that, the girl swore that she had received a wedding promise of 10,000 gold coins from the god in advance. "When those procedures are completed, I want to leave." But the young girl smiled and said, "Wait a minute, Don and number 39. Be in a hurry, are you thinking? I can leave the bathroom without having to pay." He thinks that you, like Delilah, are heartless. What a waste. Don and number 39. Forget. You are my lawful husband, and our marriage agreement is signed with all the rules. If you and number 39, drunk, please wake up. The gate he entered earlier only opened once a year. Just go and look at that gate again and you and number 39, no. I went to the gate and saw that it had been locked 3 times. Returning to the young girl, the god recognized that what she said was very true. "Mr. Addix," she said lovingly, "we have everything. Fruit cereals, sugar, meat. All that wealth is enough for us to live for many years. As for our house gate, it opened exactly 1 year later. Besides Allah, there is no power at all." God exclaimed absent-mindedly, "What else are you afraid of? No one will harm him. I only ask him one thing: to love you passionately, which is not difficult for him because he is still young and strong. Please prepare the drill to pierce my pearl." There and number 39 nothing else to do but follow her advice. From that day on, I lived a royal life, eating and drinking to my heart and number 39 content and indulging in passionate passions on a bed covered with silk and brocade. 9 months later, my wife gave birth to a boy. At the beginning of the next year, one day I heard the sound of keys creaking and the door creaking. I arrived and saw that the gate was open, because there were many people bringing candy, sugar and flour. I intend to wait for a convenient moment to escape. Don and number 39. Be in a hurry, wait until evening and you will leave like you came here last year. My wife said. I waited until it was dark, filled with fear and preparing to leave. Lovingly, my wife said, I swear to Allah that I will not forgive you, if you do not swear that you will return tonight before the gate closes. I swore with righteous faith, the sword and the Quran that I would return to her, then I said goodbye to her and went out into the street. I am weak and angry at myself for the life I shared with that woman. When I passed Delilah and number 39's house, I saw that the gate leading to the garden was still open, just like she had been waiting for. Jealousy invaded, the god angrily said to himself, I Haven and number 39. Been here for a year, now I come here by chance and the gate is still open as if waiting for the day. Perhaps, now she is waiting for someone else. But I also need to go into the house to see her, before returning to my mother. I went into the garden and then to the house. Suddenly I heard Delilah calling someone loudly. Immediately, 10 slaves ran out, grabbed the god and pressed him to the ground. Delilah appeared, holding a sharp knife and said, "And quat. Now I will end your life. Let you enjoy a torturous death. Because that will be the lightest punishment for you for what you did to your cousin." And quat. I lay on the ground under the feet of a few slaves, my face covered in dust. Seeing Delilah callously holding a knife in her hand, I realized that death was near, so I begged her for mercy. But she became even more ferocious and ordered the slave to tie him up tightly. They held my arms and legs tightly, punched and kicked me, gradually beating me to death until I lay unconscious. When he regained consciousness, the god said to Delilah, "And quat. It and number 39. Best to kill him, not torment him any more, and quat." At this moment, I remembered what my cousin said before she died, and quat. "May Allah save you from evil, and quat. You should scream and cry until your voice is hoarse." Meanwhile, Delilah sharpened the knife and said to the slave, "And quat. Hold his head tightly, and quat." Right when he was preparing to return to visit the king of hell, Saint Allah caused him to utter Adixa and #39's words over and over again. And quat. Loyalty is beautiful and a change of heart is vile. And quat. Hearing that, Delilah immediately said, "And quat. Miss Adixa, Allah has blessed you and your youth." She protected her cousin in life and in death. And quat. Then she turned back and said to the god, "You have been saved thanks to the words you just uttered. Arise and return to the one you have married." So Allah blessed your sister, and this time she saved you from the death you thought was inevitable. If I hadn't and #39 heard those words, you would have died without even having time to yawn. Stand up, straighten yourself up, and pray for your cousin and number 39's departed soul. Then she kicked the god with her foot to make him stand up. The god staggered to his feet, but could not walk. I Don and number 39's know how I got home. God entered the house and saw his mother sitting and crying. She was reminding, and quat. "My son, if only I knew where you are wandering." And quat. Hearing the cry, the god ran to hug his mother. And she, when she was sure it was her son in front of her eyes, burst into tears. Looking closely at the god, the mother realized that he was in this condition. Skinny and weak, pale and pitiful. At that time, I suddenly remembered Adixa and the golden heart she had for me. Once again, I affirmed that Adixa still loved me very much, and sobbed. And the mother, to end the god and number 39's suffering, said, "And quat. My child, do you know that your father has passed away, and quat?" Seeing that, the god struggled and cried even more bitterly, then fell unconscious. When he woke up, the magic eyes turned to the place where Adixa usually sat and waited, and tears welled up again. It was not until midnight that the god stopped crying and struggling. The mother said to the god, "And quat. So it and number 39's been 10 days since your father passed away. And quat. Now I Don and number 39's think about anyone but Adixa and quat." The god replied, "And quat. Because only now do I understand how cruel I was to her and how much she loved me." "And quat. What happened to you?" asked the mother. "I told you everything that happened to me." The mother cried for a long time, then stood up to get food for the god. "And quat. Thanks to Allah, all dangers are behind me and I did not die," she said. Thanks to my mother and number 39's medicine and care, I recovered very quickly. One day, when she was healthy again, the mother came and said, "My child, now I want to show you what a Dixa left behind. It asks to give this thing to you only if you remember it with kindness and think of it with pain. Now that time has come." She got up, opened the chest, and took out from it a handkerchief embroidered with gold and silver. "Dear Prince," as I said, "at the request of my cousin, I gave her this scarf to keep." Seeing the scarf with the pair of antelopes, the god remembered a Dixa, cried out in pain and punched his face. Then, the god opened the towel, and saw a piece of paper falling down. The note was written by my cousin and number 39's hand, "Dear Addix, do you know that my death has separated us? May Allah save you from the cruel Delilah. I thank Allah, because He brought me into the eternal world earlier than you. I bid you farewell. Please keep this scarf and never give it up, because I looked at it when you avoided me. I also pray to Allah that you soon get rid of the woman who gave you this scarf, and Don and number 39's marry her. You should also know, the people who embroidered this scarf were not the heartless Delilah and her sister, but another girl. Every year she embroiders a scarf like that and distributes it all over the world, so that everyone can know her talent, a talent that dazzles the eyes and captivates the heart. As for Delilah, she took this scarf and used it to lure everyone into her murderous net. When she asserted that her sister did such beautiful embroidery, she was deceitful and cruel. I understand that after I die, this world is only a source of boredom for you, and sadness always invades your heart. Most likely, to relieve his sadness, he will go to distant countries. Dear brother, remember, the girl who embroidered the pair of antelopes is the daughter of the king of Camphor Island, the lord of noble people. After reading the letter, I pondered the meaning of what I had just read, and cried in pain, and my mother, when she saw me suffering, cried too. Mother and son continued to cry like that until late at night. I lived in that mood for exactly 1 year. The following year, I saw a number of the city and number 39's merchants whom your highness saw now going with me, preparing to go on a journey. My mother heard about it and told me to prepare to go with them, to relieve my sadness. My child, go away, the mother said to me, maybe in foreign lands sadness will leave you. Just wander around for a year, 2 or 3 years, as long as the caravan is still going, then return home with them. If Allah wishes, my heart will be at peace. The mother kept persuading me like that until I agreed. I bought goods and then set out with this merchant group. But, alas, my tears did not stop flowing, and every time we stopped somewhere, I would take out my handkerchief, look at the couple, remember my cousin and cry. Now, when the company is on its way back, exactly 1 year since I left my beloved home, but the sadness is still the same, not giving up on me. And just because I visited Camphor Island and Crystal Fortress, my sadness increased even more. This Camphor land consists of 7 islands. Ruled these islands and King Saruman. He had a daughter named Xit at Dunhia, the Queen of Peace, and people told me that it was she who embroidered the gazelles. When I learned that, desire took over me again, and I plunged deeper into the quagmire. of torment and suffering and burning desires. Since I left Camphor Island until now, my eyes have been constantly filled with tears, and my heart has sunk deeper into pain, and I Don and number 39 know how much sadness I will continue to have. Can I now return to my homeland and die peacefully in my mother and number 39's arms? Oh, how life in this world is so heavy for me." At the end of his story, Attucks cried again and cursed his fate. Looking again at the picture of antelopes on the scarf, sighing and hot tears flowing down his cheeks, he exclaimed, "My friend whispered to me, and quat, Don and number 39 cry, because joy will come. And quat, how long do I have to wait for it to arrive? I ax again in anger. Please wait. Short answer and quat, how strange and quat. I cried, who told me that life and quat must be held in anticipation. And quat, Your Highness, this is my story." Attucks continued, "Have you ever heard such a strange tale?" Prince Taghi el-Muluk was very surprised at the young man and number 39's story, and an invisible emotion invaded his heart when he heard about the beauty of the Princess Sit at Dunhia. Learning that the wonderful image of antelopes was woven by a wonderful princess, Taghi al-Muluk said, "By Allah, no one has ever experienced the ups and downs of your life, but Don and number 39 be sad, all your life is ahead. And now I want to ask you something. How were you able to see with your own eyes the young woman who embroidered these antelopes?" "And quat, sir, and quat," said Attucks, "and quat. I have reached you with my cunning. And quat, when our caravan arrived at the capital city of Long Now Island, I walked around the streets. At that time, I saw a very beautiful garden in the city. Every day, I walk in that garden, among fragrant flowers and sweet fruits. One day, I had the opportunity to get acquainted with the garden caretaker, an old man with white hair and beard, his back bent by the burden of years. 'Who does this garden belong to?' I asked the old man. 'This garden belongs to Princess Xit at Dunhia. It is right next to her palace,' the old man answered. 'When the princess wants to relieve her sadness, she comes here through a secret passage. She walks around and breathes in the scent of flowers and fruits. And quat, please let me sit in the garden for a while, so I can see the princess when she comes here for a walk, and quat,' I begged. The old gardener refused, so the god gave him some gold coins. Seeing the gold, he was very happy and led me into a garden and opened the gate, so I entered another garden. We walked for a long time among the bushes, and finally stopped at a wonderful corner of the garden. And quat, 'Sit here, I and number 39 go get you some food, and quat,' the old man said. An hour later, he returned, bringing lots of fruit and grilled lamb. The god and the old man ate meat and drank cool water. When he was full, the garden door suddenly opened. 'Go hide now,' the old man whispered into my ear. The god hid in a hidden place. Just then a black eunuch entered the garden and asked, and quat, 'Old man, are you alone? And quat, is there any stranger there?' And quat, 'It and number 39's just me, there, and number 39's no one here, and quat,' the gardener replied. And quat, 'Then close the gate, and quat,' the eunuch ordered. And through a secret passage, the gorgeous Princess Xit at Dunhia entered the garden. She was so beautiful that I felt like looking up at the moon lit up the world. She strolled in the garden for an hour, leaving me in a daze. Then, she disappeared through that secret passage. After she left, I regained consciousness and thought. I understand that the bird of the sky will never fall into my trap, because she was not born for someone like me. She is a princess, and I am just an ordinary businessman. After determining that I could never have her, I returned to my friends. I prepared to leave with them, and arrived at your country. My prince, at your request, I have told you everything that happened to me. Continue reading part 3 of the fairy tale. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.